inside the penalty area, and there is Gressel, and it is into the back of the net, right into the game and right onto the score sheet. Berkey got a hand to it, couldn't keep it out. Julian Gressel has his first goal as a Loon.
Welcome back to the Player Manager Podcast. I'm Zealand. That is Julian. And we are set for, how many episodes is this with Minnesota Julian in attendance? New background, by the way. My goodness.
3? Yeah, moving, obviously. So I think episode 3, I want to say. Well, the first one we recorded without me being an official Minnesota United player.
Yeah, true.
Second one was then
Risk takers.
in Minnesota. Yes, exactly. So it's been good. We're moving to places, out of the hotel into the house. It's been a week. Yes, I'm sitting in a bare office here now at the house.
A bare office?
Bare. Just a desk. That's all that's in it.
Oh, B-A-R-E. Oh, yes. Good thing I can't read or spell. But I'm glad we're making progress. We're getting the stop motion of Julian's life settling into Minnesota. And we've got some exciting things we're going to talk with you guys about today, obviously. Crystal Palace and their huge FA Cup surprise. We've got drama in the Netherlands, like the biggest bottle potentially ever. Barcelona wins the league. Real Madrid gets their guy. Normal stories. And something weird happened in Estonia, which I'm sure you're all very interested about. Also, there's the giveaway. More details coming up at the end of this episode, but you can still win a Minnesota United team-signed jersey. We'll catch you up on the details after all this. But first, the most pressing news that we have to get to is the fact that Julian Gressel scored his first Minnesota goal over this past weekend. How about that? And it was nice, too. Still got it. Did you forget what it felt like to score? Is that a fair question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is a fair question. I think it's been a while, right? Like in Miami, I only scored 1 goal, and that was in Philly. That was midway through the year last year, so about a year ago. So now, yeah, it was cool. Second home game. Kind of teeing up, right? Like second home game. My family was here just for the weekend. So I had a ton of people. Some people from Germany came. My mom was here. My brother was here. And, the girls from Florida came up just for the weekend to check out the new digs and be part of that game. And then, I get subbed on with, I think, 15, 20 minutes left. And first real touch of the ball, it, ends up in the back of the net. It was really cool and just surreal to kind of feel that.
I'm not going to lie, man. I know you're an assist guy and you put up your numbers on the assist side, but that was a natural goal scorer's goal. If you're watching on YouTube, you're looking at it right now. It's a beautiful take on a real hot tamale of like a cross. You really took that down. Were you feeling confident when that ball was zipping across? Because that was a really, I would say, treacherous ball. It's the type of ball that usually puts players onto some sort of, I can't believe they missed this compilation. Yeah. Because it looks easy, but it's definitely not easy. Yeah. No,
not your
never.
Boy.
No, that's that technique everybody's talking about.
Yeah, it wasn't the easiest pass and wasn't the easiest finish. In the moment, what you really think about is just trying to get it on frame, right? Like I try to make good contact with it, trying to keep it down, not to have it sky because it bounced right in front of me. So I had to like kind of hop skip myself in there. I don't know if we can do the slow-mo motion on this video, but that would be cool.
We'll put the editing team to the test on this one.
Yes, but it was like it was tough. So it was hard to kind of keep down and happy it happened. Happy that it came this way and happy that then obviously everything kind of that followed was so special to have the moments with the family and all of that was really cool.
No, I even if I'd forgotten that your family was going to be in town for that game, I'm pretty sure the Minnesota United admins would have reminded me because I was inundated. I was blasted. Not that I disliked it with Julian Gressel family photos. It looked like it was a pretty magical experience to get them there at the game for the first time. I mean, obviously you were able to kind of celebrate with them with the goal, but then they got to come on the field, with all the other kids that we talked about before and that kind of Minnesota tradition and everything.
Yeah, so we left the baby at home, first of all. So the 2-year-old stayed at home. It was a late game for her. She was tired and everything. And so it was only my 4.5-year-old. She was there, and my wife, and like I said, my brother, his wife, and my mom, and my stepdad. and they were kind of sitting towards the stairs, and didn't have anybody kind of blocking their way in that sense. So as I was warming up right in front of them, and I was like, you know what, if I score, I could kind of call them down. So it was a thought beforehand, that would happen, and then, next thing you know, it happens, and I said this to my wife after. There was this moment, right after the ball goes into the net and I notices that it's a goal. I turn around and I just look where they were sitting, and all I see is just how ecstatic and how excited and how they were jumping up from their seat, and like just the emotion of feeling that, and then just being like, I can't believe this just happened. And then I was like, come on down, and my brother ran down with my daughter, so I got to hug her, and my wife gave her a quick kiss, and then went back to celebrate with the team. But um yeah, man, what a moment that ranks really, really high for me in my career, absolutely. And I'm really, really happy that it happened this way. Really cool.
I feel like that almost signifies in some way this kind of completion of the transition to now fully being like, okay, the family, obviously not there full time yet, but the family being
Yeah.
a part of Minnesota for the first time.
Yeah, and it's exactly that, right? Like it's exactly that we're all kind of, still got it, can still score. I'm on the field, like they get to see the game and see me play, and then to share those moments with them. And like you said, even running out like with my daughter onto the field afterwards, so many good videos, and I'm sure we're showing a bunch here right now, but like it's just so many good moments that I could experience on my second home game, so there's hopefully so many more to come. So and actually we did have a season ticket member signing day the next day, and the amount of people that came up to me that were like, hey, we love the family celebration, that you fit right in, like we love to have you here, it's so good to be here, have you a part of the team, and all those things. It was so heartwarming, and so well received, in a sense that me, I've arrived, and in my family we've all arrived now, and we're here, and that's great, man. We're excited.
So it's the connection with the fans. That's awesome because I feel
Yeah.
like that is something, and this is just off of knowing you for a year as like a pen pal virtually in this way. That's something that actually really, it wouldn't matter to me if I was playing, but having that connection with the fans where they know you just by, kind of a bit beyond, oh, he just played that great cross
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, exactly. He's just a teammate, No, yeah. No, the fans definitely recognize me, and know who I am, and moments like that obviously show really who I am, right? Like that's me through and through. To go celebrate with my family, yes, but also pumping up the crowd after, and celebrating with the fans, because they spend their money to come into the stadium, and we want to repay them, or I want to repay them with good play, and exciting nights like we did, um, you know, the last couple times out. So it was certainly good moments, and yeah, it's if I had to picture and kind of draw it up in a way, this would have been almost the way to do it. So it's certainly a great start to my Minnesota United career here.
Yeah. So if you're a betting person, I'm gonna give you some advice. Once the family moves to Minnesota, hammer the Julian Gressel goals over and everything you can get
That's
your hands on. Also, if you
that's
lose
right.
your entire mortgage placing that bet, you can't blame me, legally speaking. All right. They're not all happiness and sunshine and roses and rainbows everywhere in MLS, though, because Lionel Messi has decided to get his hands dirty, which I just want to go ahead and say before we even dive into this, I love the fact that Lionel Messi has decided to involve himself. I've had this kind of saying in my mind as we talk about this story that we're getting dark Messi ever since the World Cup. It was
Yeah.
like he realized that he needed to have this edge to him, and that's what carried Argentina to the World Cup. You'll never convince me otherwise. That picture of him
Oh yeah.
standing in front of the Dutch bench, he was giving it large, and nobody'd ever seen that. And if I was playing with him, I would have gotten way more fired up. There was this kind of tidal wave of intensity, Que Miras Bobo and all that stuff that he's yelling around in the tunnel, right? All this, it was great. And that has continued in MLS as far as I've noticed. And the latest incident is he basically, not for the first time, kind of bashed the refs in MLS, and he was getting into it with, I mean, it felt like anybody that got in front of him in San Jose
Oh
at
yeah.
one point after what was a tough loss. I mean, sorry, they lost to Orlando. That was a separate game. they've not been having a good time since Julian Gressel left. They're not first in the East anymore. But what do you make? You're looking at all this. What do you make of it? Am I right in saying it's just fun to get him involved, or is it really like Messi is coming part at the seams a tad?
I mean, to me, I'm obviously not there anymore, so I can't really speak to what's happening inside the locker room or anything like
Yeah.
that anymore. So like we gotta put that disclaimer out there. I'm not part of that team anymore. I don't want to speak for what's happening, but in a sense, it feels like it's paired with obviously a few frustrating results that haven't gone their way, and him maybe not, scoring as much as he likes, which I know upsets him, right? And upsets when they don't win. It's upsetting, and
Well, if
it's
that
tough.
upsets him, what is that? If he just isn't scoring a hat trick every night, and he starts to go, "Oh, I should probably be doing better."
Yeah, but I mean, the one in San Jose where then Bruce Arena comes to rescue him out of nowhere, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
unbelievable.
Bruce Arena just swoops in. Now I remember I actually watched that for some reason, and the announcer got himself in some real hot water. In my mind, you can hear when an announcer accidentally says something, and then they hear how it sounds, and they try to
Yeah,
fix it. Bruce Arena kind of grabs Messi and just be like, "Oh, we're all good." Not grabs him as in he's picking him up, but just kind of as an embrace, but also diffuse the situation. And then the announcer just goes, two legends of the game right there. And then there's
yeah.
just this awkward silence. And the announcer comes back in and he's like, well, one, obviously, Bruce Arena, legend of the United States, like tries to clean up the potential. I just put Bruce Arena and Lionel Messi on the same level, you know.
Uh,
But it was like a savvy vet move from Bruce. I mean, he knew what he was doing, coming in and just kind of, all right, Leo, this is about to go a different
yeah, I
direction.
mean, he rectified it right on the press conference. He was like, I just didn't want him to get a red card, which I get. And he tried to calm him down. Because I think Joe Dickerson, you can see him, the ref, being like, "Hey, I'm about to give you like walk away now, or you want the red now, or something like that." It was just a very tense moment for sure. Where, yeah, I guess Bruce just stepped in, but then he followed him all the way over the bridge. San Jose has this bridge, so when you walk out of the locker room, you have to go up the stairs over the concourse on a bridge. So usually you go down
Yeah.
and you go under, or you have like a tunnel that like everything's blocked off where
They
nobody
go
can go
over. I
by.
don't know why I never knew this. They go over the
There's a
concourse.
bridge. Yeah, they go over the concourse. So on the way back from the field, obviously you have to go up and go over the concourse back down to the locker room. And Bruce just like followed him. And I guess somebody threw a jersey. Did you see that too? That video?
No, I
Somebody
didn't see
threw a
this.
jersey at Leo, and Bruce snags it out of the air and catches it. Just like the perfect, like he was like Yassine in a moment. He was like feeling like Yassine, that was kind of his moment right there. It was certainly, yeah, it was funny, but
It's like he's some sort of
um,
sleeper agent for Lionel Messi's, security crew, where you just say Afghanistan, Bananistan, and he's out there just making sure Messi's okay. So, but I
yeah,
mean, so it's not that far above the concourse if they can reach it throwing things. Then
yeah, it's not that far. No, it's a few feet. No. I'm surprised that they had it open like that with Leo being there. Or yeah. So I heard that sometimes for like Mexico games, when Mexican teams play it, they close it off somehow. So I guess they left it open for Leo to pass through and wave down or not. But did you see in the game against Orlando though how he was talking to
yeah, what was this
um
press conference? Because we have these kind of shared notes before the podcast where we put things on that we want to talk about.
yeah.
This I don't. Messi said something in the press conference after Orlando. I don't know what he said.
Yeah, it
Bring it
wasn't a
to us.
press conference, but I think it was right on the field. So he
Oh, it was one of
decided.
those post-match interviews. Okay.
Yes, yes. So usually he's not very talkative, right? As we all know, he's not really in the media ever. Hasn't responded to our request to get him on the podcast here.
Ridiculous again. Yeah.
But he decided to talk after I think they lost 3-0 to
Now,
Orlando.
I wonder how that works. Like before we even get into what he said, do you just have to have the audacity to ask Messi, "Hey, can you
No,
talk?" Or
he wasn't asked. It was his
he
decision
comes
to
up.
talk. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
So he goes to the. He's like he's a very humble guy 98% of the time, right? I guess he goes up. I'm envisioning this. He goes up to the reporter and goes, "I don't care who you were going to talk to before. I want to talk. I'm talking now."
yeah.
That reminds me
No,
of it reminds me of a story that Jimmy Fallon said about Mick Jagger one time, where he's like, these people, and it's not their fault because they've been famous for so long. Where Mick Jagger and Jimmy Fallon were putting together some skit, and Mick Jagger holds his hand up and goes, Coca-Cola, please. And somebody just gets him one. And he was, I have never seen something like that, where there's these people, like they exist in a world where that sort of stuff just happens. And I'm sure Messi was like, I know they'd want to talk. And he's right. Of course they would want to talk to Messi. Yeah. Like he's not like he's wrong. So like he comes up and goes, I do want to talk today. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think basically, the interview was like that, right? He goes up to either our PR or sorry, old habits here, the Inter Miami PR person, and says, I want to do Apple TV or whatever. Goes over, does the interview, and it obviously says that they're in a difficult position, that they have to stick together and all those types of things. But also, does a little sidekick towards the referees, and kind of lets Apple TV in that sense know that, or MLS know that they should take a look at the referees, and I think that was the gist of or probably the reason of why he wanted to do the interview. But definitely an interesting choice.
No, I don't know what I would do. I mean, generally speaking, even when I'm playing Football Manager, right, I don't criticize the refs. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One, I hate the idea of anybody not liking me. I like being friends with everybody. I avoid confrontation like water around a rock going down a river. Like I am water. And the other side of that is typically I feel like if you criticize a ref, they're just going to be more critical about how they're going to call the game towards you. At least if I was a ref, that's how I would work. Even though if you're a ref, you can never admit that publicly. How do you feel about talking about a ref? Now, obviously, Messi can do whatever the hell he wants. It's Lionel Messi we're talking about. And when he says the standard of the refereeing is too low or something, MLS is probably having a very serious meeting in their office about how they can raise the standard of refereeing because he's pointing it out.
Yeah.
But in your experience, what sort of effect does that have? Or is it just noise in the wind? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I've never been a referee that's gotten bashed by him, right, or a player like that. I think MLS takes it serious. I think whenever Leo speaks, it's very important, and there's truth to that. So I don't think he has any wrong intentions behind it. I think it's coming from a place where he feels like he's been done wrong, and he wants to voice that. And in my opinion, that's okay, and that's great. Obviously there's rules in this league that you aren't supposed to publicly kind of do that, in a way, but at the same time, sometimes it's necessary, and maybe he felt that it was necessary. And certainly there were moments where I felt like I should have done that, and I usually am like you, where I tend to then say no and not do it. But a player of his stature and of his image and everything, like when he talks and when he speaks about referees like that, I think sure, they're listening, and the league is for sure listening too. So we'll see what comes of it. But now the things that he talks about the specific moments in the game, I'm not really sure. I didn't watch the games. I don't know exactly what he was complaining about, what calls they were not made that he didn't agree with. So I can't speak to any of that, but it's very important every time Leo decides to talk about MLS, about Apple, about whatever it is, because of his influence in the world of soccer, simple because of that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's unfair to say that he's not one of the people that's a flopper either. Something I've always respected about Lionel Messi, to be perfectly honest, is he's not somebody that really sells it for calls or is playing some sort of 3D game of chess where, if I put pressure on the officials now, I'll get calls later. Kind of like the Real Madrid strategy, I'll call it, where you're trying to just create this pressure game against the officials. I don't feel like he's that type of person. And so I think this comes from a genuine point, whether he's right or not. Like I didn't watch the match either. I think it's coming from a genuine point where he believes he can affect change, because the officials weren't up to the level. And I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't up to the level that he's played at, because he's played in leagues and competitions where the literal best referees in the world are there. Yeah. So that's the standard that he's used to, and it happens.
Hey, I don't want to get fined by MLS, so that's for you to talk on.
Next topic. No, we'll take it. we'll take it into all the stuff that's happened in the world of football then. Obviously, we are all about trying to keep all of the money in Julian's pocket. So Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup has dominated the headlines. Obviously, how could you not love this story? I am obsessed with rooting for every underdog ever. But what I didn't know, and what you might not know, watching or listening at home, or Julian, they'd never won a major trophy before, ever, of any kind
Unbelievable.
in 120 something years. Which the only reason they didn't win a major trophy before is because there is no trophy for finishing 12th in the Prem, which they are absolutely professionals at. And as I was joking about, I think it was on Twitter or something, it turns out that, finishing 12th every year has a happy ending because they showed up in the final, they beat Manchester City, but it was not without controversy. Now we'll talk about the game more broadly, but I'm sure you've seen this clip, the clip of the handball on the edge of the box. Now, the ball's played through, Erling Haaland's headed out, and Dean Henderson, and I don't blame him at all for this, the goalkeeper for Crystal Palace, takes what could only be described as an incredibly manly swat at the ball because he realizes that it's spinning backwards and not going to make it inside the box in time. And then nothing is called on the field, and then VAR gives nothing. I think that this has exposed a flaw in the VAR system, but I want you to take a crack at this first.
What would the call have been?
Is
it a red card?
What I would
if
like
it's deemed
for
a handball? Yes, right?
That's what
So
VAR can give. Yeah.
Yes, a red card, right? Not a penalty, obviously. No, it would be outside the box. It would be a handball red card offense by the goalkeeper. Yes.
That would be what VAR can give. Because VAR can't give the one thing I want it to give, which is a yellow card and a free kick.
No, it can't. It can only give a red. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that it's a clear and obvious mistake, but I don't think they wanted to change the final by giving a red card, to be honest.
Which is crazy because the rules are the rules and it shouldn't matter if it's a final or not. What minute was it? I saw the video.
Like 24th. I mean, this was early. Yeah. This was before Crystal Palace had scored. I think the game is just starting to take shape. Dean Henderson does this. And if I'm the ref and I see this, I would love to give a yellow card and a free kick and then just let it be. But he doesn't. And now all of a sudden there's this great attacking opportunity that's been prevented by a very crafty Dean Henderson. What's your solution? Can you solve football for us? What's your solution to this whole situation?
Exactly. Kudos to him for doing it, first of all, for being up to, and being brave enough to do it and taking a risk in that moment. Man,
that's terrifying. I know he had 3 heart attacks while this play was happening, at least.
Yeah. But no, I mean, for me, it's a handball and it's a red card. VAR should do it. In the run of play, I could see how they miss it, right? Like it's right there. It's like when you stop it on the video, you can see they stop it like right on the line, like just above the line. So it's, Haaland is obviously running at you 100 miles an hour. And you're like, let's just get rid of this ball, I guess. And hope we don't die. I guess that's what probably Dean Henderson said. But so I could see how the refs missed it. But then VAR can't miss it. So that's where my questioning comes in.
I think you said one thing where I think we actually might disagree because I do believe in officiating a final slightly differently. I do. I just think
to a point where a handball is not a handball outside the box. The box lines don't extend in the final.
Okay, so what makes it? Yeah, right. What makes this a red card? Right, that would be a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity. Yeah. I just don't know if this is 100% like a shoe-in, he's going to score if he doesn't touch this ball. He's kind of going at an angle slightly. I mean, I feel like I'm watching the Zapruder film here because I'm rewinding it a bunch of times. But he's going at an angle slightly away from the goal. He's got 2 defenders that are kind of around him. Right? Like it's not, he doesn't just push him. This isn't Luis Suarez at the World Cup where he just blocks the ball from going in the back of the net with his hand. I'm just trying to come up with the rationalizations that they would have used to desperately try not to give this red card because I know If I were a VAR official, I would be like, I really need something that puts a player in danger for me to give a red card this early in a final.
Have they come out with a statement or anything like that? No, right? I'm guessing.
I don't think so. All we
Yeah.
know is that nothing was called in the field, and then VAR didn't overturn it for an obvious missed red card opportunity. But I haven't seen any statement, or maybe by the time this comes out, they have, but we don't have it in front of us.
Okay, so I think there's only one real solution to this then. Everybody that hasn't subscribed to the podcast hits the subscribe button so we can get enough money so that Zealand goes to the referee
Yes.
school and gets his referee licensing, and then ultimately we'll be able to answer these types of questions for you, for the listener, for you.
You're right. I like the idea that I will. How long does that take? Years, right? I'm going to go through years of for you. I'm going to go through years of training so that I can answer these. The funny thing is, even if you go through years of training, there's still going to be situations that exist like this where depending on which person is making the call, you're going to get a different call. I mean, the one that always blows my mind the most is if you remember it at the Euros, Mark Cucurella had the ball, like his arm just blocks the ball.
Oh, I do.
From going towards the goal. Yeah. And yeah, you remember. Sorry.
Germany versus Spain.
Yeah. But you had referees all over the place that are saying that should be a handball. It shouldn't be a handball. I think the biggest issue is that even if you do subscribe, which you should anyways, obviously, is that there isn't like a fine line. It's some part of it is subjective. In particularly when it comes to handballs, which this isn't really subjective, whether it's a handball or not, it is. And things like denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, it is subjective, which means that it's going to come down to the person that's making the call. And just as a neutral, I was glad they didn't give a red, but I also think it's one of those situations where if it flips and they do give a red, it's really hard to get too mad at them because Holland's kind of the last man here. And you just like bitch swatted the ball off of his foot before he could get to it.
Yeah. Isn't that something good though? Everybody's always complaining, or a lot of people, 80% of people are complaining about VAR, of how it takes away the subjectivity of the referees, and our errors are part of the game for them, and like offside by an inch, like it's all determined by a computer and whatnot. But there it is, in a final you still have that, even with VAR installed, and with VAR available, you still have that type of yes or no decision, and it's good to see. That's just for me. Sorry.
You're happy that the subjectivity still exists. That's
yes, that we can debate, and we can disagree. That's what I like about it.
Okay. Well, anyways, he doesn't get sent off. I would love for it to be a yellow card and a free kick, like a stern yellow card where the ref really looks at you and gives you one of these, like anything else out of you, Dean, I'm sending you off. Right. He ends up turning in an absolute masterclass. Crystal Palace wins the trophy. Yep. They do this, they get to do their magical trophy lift. Fans that are 95 years old get to see their club win the trophy for the first time. All this good stuff. They're going to be in Europe. And then right after the game, there's Dean Henderson walking off. And I don't even know what this is, but he starts saying something to Pep Guardiola. And then Pep starts saying something. And Dean and Pep get into it. Give me your best guess as to what they're arguing about.
Oh my gosh.
Clip.
I was going to ask you exactly that.
What, I mean, because I don't know. What could you... I mean, Dean Henderson has this great game, right? He basically drags Crystal Palace to the win. I don't want to just give him the credit because our boy Chris Richards from the U.S. national team was fantastic. He was getting shout outs all over the place from people that weren't even American, which is how you know it's actually going well. But Dean Henderson played an iconic game, and he still took time out of his day to talk to Pep, who was also talking back to him. They were talking about the weather. That's it was a little sunny. Dean had to wear a hat, and he was upset. I don't know. When managers and players get into it, what are they usually talking about?
Usually about stuff that we just talked about for the last 5 minutes, like the call and maybe something like that. Maybe Pep said something that Dean Henderson heard, or the coaches told him something that he was arguing too much about it, about that situation, and something like that. But that video is cool because our boy Matt Turner, He's the one who's trying to get Pep away from it all, and is
He's trying
trying
to
to be
Bruce
the
Arena the situation, right? He's
yes,
trying to.
exactly. So that yeah, Matt Turner, man, he would have done a great job, by the way. If he came in, he would have saved the day as well. So
Oh yeah, I'm sure he wouldn't have even handballed it. Yeah, he would have been. He would have
yes,
had it deeper in the box or something. It was cool to see him get that medal because he's had a very roller coaster kind of last year and a half over there in England. So it was a very high
yeah,
note for him. But yeah, I mean that high note, obviously getting the medal and then dragging Pep out of a confrontation with his goalkeeping brother. Right, that was a funny cameo because I actually forgot he was on Crystal Palace. Like that was a
yeah.
very
Oh
recent
man,
move. It's like, oh, that was Matt Turner. He just popped up.
yeah, friend of the pod, right?
A friend of the
Yeah,
pod. Yeah.
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 Yeah, but cool scenes. Happy for Crystal Palace, and yeah, I don't mind a little trash talk at the end. Against the Guardiola, who's won everything. Like you beat him in the final. Go enjoy it. You say something. You say something. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is why I hate the celebration police. It's just like they'll go to Crystal Palace or whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh, stay humble." It's like, well, they did actually just win the whole thing. If there's ever a time that you can really celebrate and really give it large to somebody, it's when the whole tournament's over and you're the one standing there with the trophy. Sure, Manchester City's going to win 25 more trophies over the next 10 years, probably. I don't know. Maybe this is the
Yeah.
beginning of the end. But Crystal Palace will always have this one. I just love seeing new teams or teams that haven't won in a long time win things. It gives me a good, happy feeling.
Yeah.
Speaking of teams that have done that,
Exactly. I was gonna say that too. I was gonna transition to this because
oh, do it.
th-
I'm
this is
I'm sick.
obviously
So,
cool. No, this is obviously a cool story. I think in the Netherlands in the Dutch league where we had a little collapse there, an absolute shocker of a last 5 games. We had Ajax who was winning the league with 9 points to go, and PSV kind of came crawling back in the last 5 games, and on the last day of the season, bam, snagged that title from him. And PSV Eindhoven are the new champions, and Ajax Amsterdam are, yeah, left with nothing.
they are left with well, they're left with less than nothing. They're left with that crushing because everybody like losses aren't the
That
same,
hurts.
right? Losses are not the same. If you lose the league after you were 15 points behind with 10 matches to go and you give a good run of it and you end up 2 points short or whatever and you lose on the last day, whatever. And the loss that Ajax has now suffered with the way you just that is crushing. This is if you follow American sports, Virginia losing to a 16 seed in the first round of March Madness. This is the Patriots having an undefeated season and making it all the way to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl to lose to the 9-7 Giants, right? Like it's the only reason that all of those nerds pop up and they're like, actually, PSV is still mathematically alive for the title, right? 9 points with 5 matches to go. I'll give you a number that I dug up on this. Ajax had dropped points in 6 of 29 matches they'd played all year. They'd won 23 of them.
Wow.
23 out of 29, they dropped points. So losses and draws in 6 of them. In 4 matches in a row, after they were up 9 points with 5 to go, they dropped points. 66. It's like, it is. If you were a PSV fan sitting there, you would have thought it was impossible. We're going to run a clip on the YouTube of the fans in PSV's stadium realizing that PSV had not blown it that they'd somehow managed to get on top of the league. Because that's maybe the most incredible thing to me is that they were down 9 points with 5 matches to go. They took the lead with a match to go. They didn't even need the final match day. It took 4 match days for the whole thing to disappear. And what do you even do in the Ajax locker room after that? Because then PSV wins their last match and they defend their position on top of the league. I don't even know how you begin processing that because they were so good all year.
I think what you do is you don't interact and you don't go outside for a while because the fans might be there they want to do some bad stuff to you, I think that's probably what What I would do is no, that's shocking. That's a tough one. Tough. Yeah, that locker room is probably not in a great place, but I don't know. Maybe you were too complacent with 5 matches to go, and you were kind of like, 9 points, no problem. We haven't lost all year really, and here we are, 9 points ahead, 5 matches in. Like, this is a cool moment for us to kind of just chill out and hang out. And now all of a sudden, you like you said, left with less than nothing. It's incredible to, yeah, you just kind of have to feel bad. You almost feel
Mm.
ashamed, right, of kind of what you've
Oh,
done. I
absolutely.
think,
I
yeah,
feel like shame would be a huge, but there's just a certain feeling when something happens that you legitimately can't believe that it happened. It's
yeah,
kind of that emptiness where you're just numb and you keep replaying it in your mind or something. It's like I genuinely cannot believe. I'm imagining that every single person in the entire city of Amsterdam feels that way, and the way that it happened, particularly on the second to last match day, is it's actually haunting. So they lose 4-0 to Utrecht, right? And obviously the assumption is PSV wins every game, and they do. They lose 4-0 to Utrecht. It's on the road, whatever. You're just going, okay, that was a wake up call. That's how I'm
yeah,
thinking about the first one. And then the second one, you're at home against Sparta Rotterdam, mid table team, and they backdoor a kind of 1-1 result. And by backdoor it, I mean Ajax almost lost. Sparta Rotterdam scored in the 95th minute to take a 1-0 lead, and then Ajax scored in the
oh,
97th minute to equalize. So there's some drama baked into that. But yeah, the other team backdoored it. The team you didn't expect to be backdooring it backdoored it. And then they played at home against Nijmegen, who's not good, which it's my job to know that. I'm sure you're probably not watching the Dutch league, right? Nijmegen, not a good team, goes to Amsterdam and beats them 3-0. Now you're ringing the fire alarm. That's the moment where I think you pull the ripcord. You're like, okay, we're screwed. And then they go on the road against Groningen and they have the lead going into stoppage time. And that video we watched of them celebrating, realizing that Ajax was going to lose, comes after they saw the score update from this match. Groningen then gets a red card in the 93rd minute. They get a player sent
oh
off.
my gosh.
So Ajax is in the lead on the second to last day. If they win their last 2 matches, they win the league, no problem. And of course, they won the last match of the season. They ended up winning it 2-0. And in the 99th minute, Groningen scores on a set piece.
Oh my god.
And they go absolutely, they're going crazy. That's why those fans in the stands were going so nuts, is because PSV, even though they were winning all of these matches, still needed Ajax to drop points and one more. And it was 10-man mid-table Groningen that just scored a goal. And baked into that was, in my opinion, maybe my favorite. This is kind of an honor to Jamie Vardy, who's retiring or leaving Leicester, at least, in terms of shit talking, right? This is maybe one of my favorite pieces of shit talking I've ever seen, because, and we'll roll the video now. Sorry, we're getting used to these whole videos playing while we're talking thing on YouTube. But there's a ball boy for Groningen while this is happening. Ajax
I
has the
love
lead.
that.
That's so good. The ball boy is trying to get a ball, and for some reason, you never know, right? A reserve Ajax goalkeeper's holding on to the ball, just won't give it to him. Not even to restart play. Play is going on in the background. He's just pretending that this is somehow going to delay the game in some way. And this poor, 16-year-old Dutch kid is trying to get this adult to give him a ball. And then after Groningen scores, he he goes back to the keeper with a ball in his hand and was like, "Here, do you want now? Like, do you want a ball now?" And then the goalkeeper looks at it and then just turns away. And I was like, "Wow, no notes, no
Good,
notes."
good for him. Good for that ball boy. I wasn't as
Yeah.
bold when I was a ball boy. I was not as bold like that. I was not
Did
brave
you
like
ever have a
that.
player pull something like that with you when you were a ball boy?
No, no. I mean, I was okay so back in my days in Germany, when you play for the youth academy of a team, I was at Greuther Fürth, which is a second Bundesliga team. I was in that academy up until I was 15. Um, so usually when you like 11 to U11s or U12s to like U15s, you kind of rotate every other match day or so. You kind of, if you want to be a ball boy, you can be a ball boy type thing. So, and I used to do it quite a lot. And back then they didn't have the stands like we do now. You actually had to throw the ball to them and collect it and actually throw the ball in. And you were always being told in the beginning of like, hey, when we're up, do it slow, like don't throw it
Yeah,
right
yeah.
away to the opponent. Like when we're down, you gotta like be on your toes. The ball comes, you gotta throw it in. Now, so it's like nerve wracking in a little bit, right? You're what, 13 years old, like you don't want to mess up. Good for that ball boy to kind of have all his emotions in check and kind of let him know afterwards that you know what he did wasn't all right, and he was also you know just kind of being a little bit funny about it, which is cool. It's
No,
cool.
there's some things you can't teach. I don't think you can teach that level of shit talking. Like that was
Yeah.
a moment of pure inspiration. And I'll just say for a moment, I got a problem with this goalkeeper. I don't know who he is, and I'm sure he's a really nice guy. I'm sure he loves his mom. I'm sure he's fine. It was just obviously everybody at AJAX was having a very tough time. But all he needed to do at any point in this process, especially when the kid came up with the ball, and I know you just lost and that sucks. But if he just smiled and like dapped him up or something, it would have totally
Yeah.
diffused the whole
Yeah.
situation. But the way when you watch the video, if we watch it again, the way he just looks at the ball and the kid and then just, whatever. I got something more important. It just rubbed me the wrong way. I can't even describe why. It just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cool moment, funny moment, and good for that ball boy. He's got places to go.
Yeah, somebody give him he needs a contract. He needs to be ball boy every single match for the rest of the time that they've got going on.
I feel
We're
like
on to
every year there's these stories that about ball boys, right? That are like impacting these matches somehow, that are like, Jose Mourinho obviously loves, I think, like 4 or 5 ball boys that have, like, I don't know, saved him. Real Madrid, right? Liverpool, I remember, like, it's always these ball boys that, are impactful in the game these days. Like I
I
said,
think
you want to be on your toes or you want to slow the game down, one or the other. You gotta be ready.
well the one that I always remember is Jose Mourinho gave a ball boy the match ball or
Yeah,
something after the match
exactly.
because he
Yeah.
had such a perfect toss to set up a goal for I think it was Chelsea at the time. Obviously Eden Hazard had a showdown with a ball boy, which I kind of thought was fair because the ball boy was taking a really long time to give him the ball and he tried to rip it away from a kid. I think we might be closing in on it. I don't know if this is legal. Teams getting fully professional ball boys, or at least semi-professional, like they're not boys, they're adults
Yeah.
whose job is to do that. Although I think that would be too obvious. That's like making your strategy too obvious. That these people are
Hey,
coached to help you win.
home field advantage is home field advantage. You gotta have a little bit of something, Well, your ball boys are yours. They're not the opponents. They're not neutrals. They're, part of the game. And when the ball goes out, you either gotta be on your toes or you can slow it down and have it all on your terms. So I don't mind it. I don't mind that being part of yeah, the game in a sense.
All right, I'm gonna distract us. Are you ready to get distracted?
Ooh, let's do
Because
it.
I have a theory that I've been workshopping, and I feel like you're a good person to bounce this theory off of. Because there was I can't even remember it was or where it was, right? Because I make a couple videos a day on the Zealandism channel about various things in the world of football, right? Usually stupid and in small leagues.
Yeah.
And when one of these small leagues, somebody, I think it was the goalkeeping coach, there was a counterattack going on, and he just picked the ball up and just threw it on the field and just stopped the attack. Like totally stopped the attack. And there was only a minute left in the match. And so even if you add that minute back on, they're not going to get another move that looked like this. And so even though the goalkeeper gets a red card, right? Even though the goalkeeping coach, sorry, gets a red card,
Great.
worth it. Yeah, totally
Great
worth it.
record. Oh yeah.
So I'm thinking somebody like Jose Mourinho is watching this and going, all right, I am going to hire an assistant to the assistant of the physiotherapist or something, right? Who's a professional bowler or I don't know, somebody that would be able to throw a ball accurately over a solid distance,
Who
right?
used to be a former goalkeeper like yourself.
Hey, that you know exactly. Yeah, that or somebody like they played cricket or baseball, they can launch the thing, right?
Yeah.
And you save them on your staff all year and you get to that one cup final and you go, all right, listen, if they get a good looking move, take it out. Just throw the
Yeah.
ball on the field. And they'll get a red card, and that's fine. Because
Yeah.
their only job is to be on your staff making $40,000 a year for that one throw. And Tell me that's not a brilliant strategy. Because if you do it all the time, the league will start to fine you. But if you have one guy on the staff whose job is in a key moment to be able to throw a ball on the field that messes with the play, look, this is anarchy, right? What I'm proposing is anarchy.
Yes,
But I
absolutely.
also believe that within the way the rules work right now, it is possible and it would work.
Probably is possible. Yeah. But if the same, I don't know if like, because with that red card, you obviously get suspensions, and then like if it's always the same coach, for example, that gets hired or that does it, then you can like ban people of being they can
Yeah.
be
Well, that's
banned
what I
from
mean.
being on
This
the
is kind
bench.
of
You
like a
gotta like have
golden bullet.
a rotating catalog of disruptors.
You're working your way through. So this was the first iteration of this idea I had. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm hiring 12 people. In each match, one person goes.
Yeah.
And then they're suspended, and then it's the next person. But here's what I think would happen. You do this too much, the league or the FA is going to actually start fining and suspending the team.
Yeah.
So you have to do it every once in a blue moon. Once a season.
Only the finals.
Only the finals. Or, it decides promotion or relegation, or this is the 6-pointer. And then, oops, I fell, and the ball goes 40 yards and takes somebody out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would work.
Makes total sense. Yeah, doable. I like the idea. I like this. We're coming up with new things, outside the box thinkers over here, guys.
Well, I always lean in if you can push the envelope on the rule, then you should. Right. And that's what coaches get. I mean, these guys are getting paid $10 million a year to win games. Yeah. This would help you win games. And Jose, if I see you do it after this podcast comes out, I'm going to demand royalty.
I mean, you should trademark it somehow. And yeah, exactly.
No,
I'll start figure out a way how to make money. Yeah.
I'll be the coach they hire.
Yeah. You'll be the consultant.
Yeah. I'm the assistant set piece consultant. It's the set piece from the bench that you never see coming. So but overall, you feel like it would work and that this is a viable idea.
Well, it definitely worked for that coach, right? Or like the one
true.
You mentioned. So
I guess it already has worked. Maybe I'm not a pioneer after all. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, big games would certainly be funny to see that happen where somebody boots a ball into the field just to stop a counter or stop play. But that would be cool. It'd be funny.
You can involve the ball boys in it too. That's how this idea started. Is like, what if the ball boys just never gave them the ball? And I'm like, well, you can really push the envelope on this. You ready to talk about Estonia before we actually break the entire sport?
Estonia, man, that's your topic, dude.
I know. That's why I'm just.
Estonia?
We've made the executive decision as a show because I spend my life with my head buried in the sand of weird, obscure soccer things. Once a show, I'm just going to show Julian something that I find incredibly interesting. And it actually also has to do with bending the rules of the sport. So I want you to click on this YouTube video, Julian. And what you'll notice is that it is a highlight video from the Estonian League. Oh, dear. My volume was a little high. Okay. This is a win for Noma Kalju against Tallinna. Now, unfortunately for Noma Kalju, their coach had a touchline ban for this game. Card accumulation through a water ball. I don't know what it was. He is banned from the touchline. Now, I want you to get to about 5 seconds into this video and pause. Okay, we'll do that if you're watching on YouTube. That's what you're going to see. Just about 5. It can be 6 or 7. It doesn't really matter. It's okay.
Okay.
And now look at the top of the stands, a little left of the center line. So that right up there, that is the head coach of Noma Kalju and his assistant standing on the roof of the stadium coaching the game, which might be the funniest thing I've ever seen, because I'm fairly certain this is not against the rules. He's outside the stadium. He's just on the roof of the stadium.
It probably isn't. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Oh gosh. I feel like that isn't there like in MLS there's like not MLS in or some MLS stadiums too, but I feel like in baseball and like all these other stadiums there's like hotels attached to it where you can kind of like from like apartment buildings see into the stadium. That's what it feels like, where you just kind of like look into Does he like have a headset on, you think, and like talking to the
No,
bench, or
no,
like
no.
what do you
They
think's
give
going on? No?
you. It's really funny, actually. If you watch this whole thing, I'll see if I can find it. The post match interviews are 5 minutes of this video, but if you watch the match at the end of the match, the camera crew actually cuts to a shot of him on the stadium at like 2:39, 2:30, like 2:34 to 2:39 ish. They show him on the roof. He's kind of like hugging his assistant, and he's just standing there clapping on his team. So no, I don't think he had a headset, but he's definitely within yelling and hand signal distance. I think he was
Yeah,
legitimately coaching the game. I mean, in the same way that we broke the sport, I think he's actually found a way around the rules here.
that's amazing. Good for him. He's like up there with like a megaphone and just kind of yelling down. Doesn't seem like there's a ton of people there either, so he definitely got his voice
Oh,
heard probably, and
come on. It's
that's
the
cool.
Estonian. It's the Estonian Premier League. There just aren't a lot of people in Estonia. Respect to our Estonian brothers, but
Yes, yes. Thanks for bringing
so
that up, dude. That was fun.
if you ever have, like, let's say you're playing for Tata Martino again, right, and he gets a touchline ban, you now can be the ideas guy to help
Okay.
him maybe get around that. Maybe pop him up on that walkway at San Jose or something. See him yelling something across the field.
Oh, that's great. This is funny because I feel like we're today in this episode we've come up with 3 possible jobs for you. Other
True.
like
Yeah.
since Football Manager has been canceled, hopefully will not be canceled next year. But there's 3 jobs that I think you can do by now.
Right. I'm a ref. I'm just going to make sure I keep track. I'm a ref. I am the designated ball thrower on Jose Mourinho's staff.
Yeah.
And I am a managerial consultant for the avoidance of touchline bans.
Yes.
Is that's okay? That's
Yeah.
just making sure I've got that. It's time to get to you guys' questions. Although I really appreciate Julian trying to get me off the unemployment line. We have a question you guys ask on Instagram, on YouTube in the comments, and we pick one out every time. This one comes from 21 Sabish on Instagram. Said, "How often do you prepare your celebrations?" I believe you touched on this earlier. This one's for Julian.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to tie the whole episode back together, right? With my celebration with the family and all that. Yeah, it was. So this one was a little bit pre-planned just because when I warmed up there, I said that earlier, when I warmed up, I saw how close they were and I saw how easily it was for them to come down. So I kind of, we were playing towards that goal in the second half, and this one was a little bit pre-planned. Um, but usually I don't. I don't score enough to really pre-plan celebrations. I think if we can find a video of our forward Tanny scoring I think it was a 2-0 with the back heel. What a goal, by the way! But then he does the Justin Jefferson little what's it called?
The gritty,
Oh
is that
gosh, the
the?
gritty. Yeah, the
Oh,
gritty. Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So he does a little gritty, and I'm sure those are planned, right? So um, yeah, I think strikers usually pre-prepare. I think everybody else somewhat maybe doesn't. Maybe some guy has their celebration that they always do, so they always do the same. So there's no pre-preparation needed really. Um, I usually don't, other than when it's a special occasion or like I said, my family is close and I can do that. Yeah, have moments like I just did. That's the only thing.
No, and I know what everybody's wondering. Do I pre-plan my celebrations? And the answer is kind of, actually. Like for this stream and even for this YouTube video, I have a table right next to my setup that just has a bunch of random stuff on it
My
that
gosh.
could be really fun. Yeah, hold on. It seriously, like, it rotates, right? I don't even know why I would need this Nerf gun, right? But if I want to just do that, I put all that stuff on there because people think it's really funny to. So I don't know what I'm going to grab, but if I score a big goal on Football Manager, I'll do that. I will say I did score the winning penalty in a shootout one time, and I did not have any pre-planned celebration at all. But for some reason, I made a peace sign, licked it, and
Oh,
then went
jeez.
like that, and then did that towards the other bench. And I have to this day been mystified as to why I did that. I've never done that before or since, but I was so fired up. That's what I did. And ever since then, I've never been critical of any player's celebration because I was like, in high school, I freaked out so hard that I came up with that. And, so anything anybody does outside of that is magic to me.
Pretty provocative, don't you think?
It wasn't intent. Like, it was, I think I was just trying to be like, see you later, because they had been talking so much trash.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I just like did that. I mean, yeah, I guess there was sexual imagery in that celebration that I didn't process until right now. That was not at any point a considered part of my high school celebration there. So now that I am living in a world where I think that the entire other team thought that's what I was doing, I'm just going to go leave public life.
Or just apologize. You can apologize.
I will send a written apology to that high school immediately.
That's amazing.
It's hilarious. I never even thought of it that way till now. So, anyways,
I want to mention actually something really quick towards all the questions, because we got a lot of questions about, or I got a lot of questions about what's life been like in Minnesota and all those types of things. And first, life's been great, and this will tie into something that you're going to say following this. Minnesota fans have been amazing. It's been a lot of fun to be part of this team and to kind of, get my foot in the door here. So these are all the kind of questions that I got. Thank you for all those questions. Thanks to all the Minnesota United fans for listening here, subscribing obviously to the podcast, and also for the support that they've shown me so far. And here's your cue.
Perfect. Yeah, the giveaway. You have until May 28th to enter to win. Remember, you just have to subscribe to the YouTube and then comment on last week's episode. You have up until May 28th to do it, so there will be one more week of a podcast. I believe will be coming out on that day that you'll be able to tell them. Right? Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I just want to mention one thing I saw on an Instagram post for hours when we announced this giveaway. I saw a couple of comments. It was like, "Hey, I'm an Inter Miami fan. I don't even want the jersey," or some stuff like that. It's just like funny how that. But still, comment, and hey, we'll have more giveaways, and I have some stuff in storage that you might be interested in further down the line that may or may not be pink. So just keep that in mind as you continue to listen here.
This is like Storage Wars, Julian Gressel style. We'll see you next week.
Bye.